Welcome to One More Hour, the podcast all about backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra running mindset of going one more. If you're an ultra runner, a trail or ultra runner curious about the format, or just someone who loves to test your limits, you're in the right place. I'm Jackie Wilson, an ultra marathon and marathon run coach, trail runner, outdoor enthusiast, and backyard ultra expert. On this show, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and conversations with runners, race directors, experts, and more to help you go further, dig deeper, and keep going when everything in you says stop. Thank you so much for joining me for some yards. Let's get started with one more. Welcome back to the One More Hour podcast, your insider's guide to backyard ultras, timed events, and the ultra mindset of going one more. I am so excited to have you all here today. Today's episode is inspired by a carousel post that I shared recently on Instagram called The Unsexy Skills of Backyard Ultras. And honestly, I think this might be one of the more important conversations that we can have about this format, because backyard ultras do not reward hype. They don't reward the flash. They don't reward one big heroic moment. They don't reward speed. They reward the runner who can quietly, repeatedly, and patiently execute the boring things. Now, not saying that they're not fun, that you can't make them exciting, that you can't add lights and glitter and fun costumes and stuff to your tent and at camp. You can. There are lots of exciting aspects that you can add to your race, both individually and then as like a race director. But overall, like, backyard ultras are meant to be boring. So today I want to talk through the unsexy skills that actually keep you going when the race stretches into hour 18, hour 24, hour 32, hour 56, hour 70, and beyond. So number one, let's start with training. Backyard success is not built on hero weeks. It's not built on one epic 40-mile long run that you post about. It's built on long, boring consistency. Weeks where nothing feels exciting, runs where you don't feel amazing, strength work you don't want to do, winter runs, especially right now when you don't want to be running through blizzards, through cold temps, through ice, through the wind, through the dark. Backyards reward durability, and durability is built quietly. No magic workouts, no secret session. There is no like secret workout that you can do that says, okay, if you do this, you're going to be the last runner standing at your race and your training is going to be absolutely incredible. Like there's no secret workout. There's no breakthrough Tuesday. There's just showing up, being consistent. Confidence in the backyard ultra does not come with intensity. It comes with knowing that you've stacked enough normal weeks that your body does not panic when things get repetitive. And that's unsexy, but it works. And I think this nature of ultra running and the backyards is what weeds out a lot of the people that are doing it for the likes. Number two, and this is where a lot of my personal training and my coaching shines through because I focus on this heavily. This is where I started before I was a runner, strength training. The one thing that most runners try to skip. It's not flashy. It's not glamorous. It doesn't give you that runner's high. It's definitely not what gets the Instagram likes. But here's the truth. Backyard ultras are a repetition problem. They are focused on load and capacity. You are asking your body to do the same movement pattern over and over and over again on the same course over and over and over again. Now, yes, some races have a night course and a day course. Some races switch directions of the same course every hour, every 6 hours, every 12 hours. But it's the same movement pattern and it's very repetitive and you're not getting a lot of variation in terrain and turns over the course of like a fixed point-to-point 100-miler. Even then, for ultra distances, 100 miles, 150, 200 up, it is a load and capacity problem. You are asking your body to do this same thing over and over again. And if something is weak, it is going to be exposed. When I see people start dropping off in the later hours, like when the field of runners starts narrowing down, it's because the majority of the time, like, yes, there's the mental aspect of what we're going to talk about of being bored, but when you have that mental capacity, the thing that takes you out is these injuries that start creeping up because something was weak and the capacity has been met. Runners do not get injured because of the distance. They get injured when the load exceeds their tissue capacity. I did a reel on Instagram actually yesterday, and last month I try to post something about it at least monthly. I talk a lot about strength training and low capacity in my Instagram stories, but I talked about this specifically. Ultra runners get injured when their load exceeds their tissue capacity. Every step in a backyard ultra is a small stress. Multiply that by 100,000 steps, 200,000 steps, 300,000 steps, and you start to see the problem. Strength training increases how much load your muscles and tendons can tolerate. It improves running economy because there's less energy costs per step. It improves fatigue resistance in time to exhaustion. It makes you more durable late in races. When you get into that second half of the race, your body is relying on the work that you put in the weight room and your mind. It is not relying on the miles that you're running per week. 100-mile training week is not necessary to running 250 miles, 300 miles, 100 miles, 150 miles in the backyard, or really, for that matter, any ultra. It's not necessary. Proper training, manage your load, manage your recover well, lift weights, increase your capacity. The goal is not to run more. The goal is to raise your ceiling. It is to become more durable. It is to handle more load. If you want to go longer, your tissues need to be able to handle longer. And that happens in the weight room. Number 3 is walking on purpose. For my athletes, I call it intentional walking. That's what I put in their training plan. This one messes with a lot of people's identity of being a runner. Walking is not a failure in a backyard. It is strategy. If you don't know how to walk efficiently, if you don't know when to insert it into race day, into your training, if you refuse to use it because it feels slow, or it brings your mile split time down, or people tell you that the miles don't actually count towards your running mileage because you walked, you are going to burn more matches than you can get back. Ask your friend for a matchbook too, because you're going to burn through all of those as well. The best backyard ultras in the world walk on purpose, with intention, controlled, because walking has lots of benefits. I talk all about walking in episode 21, and I talk about pacing in episode 8. Go listen to those. I dive into all of it. There's probably at least an hour of content right there between those 2 episodes on pacing and walking. But just to summarize a little bit about the benefits of walking, it keeps your heart rate down. It reduces muscular damage. It gives your brain a break. It helps regulate body temperature. It keeps you moving. It lowers your need for fluid and electrolytes versus running harder, running faster. It reduces GI distress. It uses up less unnecessary energy. Lots of benefits to walking, and it is part of the strategy of the backyard. Forcing a run when you could be walking is your ego talking. Strategic walking is experience. Incorporating walking to training is one of the best things that you can do to change your training for a backyard ultra, and it's a huge game changer for those who have incorporated it into their training already. From the athletes that I have worked with and from the runners that I have talked to on Instagram, as well as those who I have talked to at races, and they're trying to figure out what else can they do to improve their training. That's my number one suggestion. And when I ran with them again a year later, they've just told me how much their training has improved, how much better they feel, how it's helped them on race day, and it's really fun to see. So, hint, learn how to walk intentionally in training and in your race, and know when to walk. Number 4 is repetition. The backyard is monotony. That should be part of the definition in the dictionary. Is when you see monotony, when you see repetition, it should say backyard ultra. You are running the same loop. You are back at the same aid station, the same athlete village, same camp. It's the same start line. It's the same course again and again and again. Some runners struggle not because it's hard, but because it's boring. I understand that. I can get bored out there. My husband says that he has the mental fortitude to run forever, with the exception that he gets very bored. He's like, I think I have the mental strength to win. But he's like, I get bored. I don't know how you can run for so long. The ability to stay calm inside monotony is a skill. Can you handle doing the same thing 25 times without needing stimulation? Can you stay emotionally neutral when nothing is happening? Like, I think that's one of the hardest things about the backyard is, and as you do more of them, you realize that the race doesn't even really start until you get to the first evening, if the race started in the morning. Like, the race doesn't start until you get through the first 12 hours. That's something that we were talking about last fall at Duff Dog Backyard Ultra down in Laverne, Minnesota, is we just have to get through the first 12 hours before like we're even really getting excited about getting into the evening, because it is so repetitive. And in the beginning, the mileage seems to add up fairly slow compared to when you're doing a long run. Like in the backyard, you're 4 hours in and you're, I'm going to say, only at just over 16 miles versus doing a long run. I mean, you could have 20 plus miles into those 4 hours at still an easy effort level. So there's a disconnect between mileage and time spent out there until it really starts to kind of have a snowball effect. It starts slow and then it starts to really add up. But we talk about that, like it just, I don't know, there's something about those first 12 hours. It's like, we just have to get through this before the race actually starts. And some races, some backyard ultras don't even start until the second day, right? So can you resist that urge? Can you resist your ego? Can you resist the urge to make something happen? Can you handle doing the same thing over and over and over again without getting bored? Can you stay emotionally neutral when nothing is happening? TJ and I talked about that in episode 22 when he was talking about Burrito League. He wanted to return to neutral instead of having all these highs and lows. And I think that's really valuable. That's something to think about in your training for race day. How can I stay neutral? This format rewards runners who are comfortable with quiet repetition. If you constantly need excitement, if you constantly need stimulation, if you constantly need dopamine, you're going to create chaos by trying to figure out, how am I going to get my hands on that? So that's also something to think about just in your daily life, in your training. What do I need? And what does that mean for my race? And do I need to change something? Number 5 might be the hardest one. And I kind of touched on this in number 4, but it's patience. Can you be patient? Letting people pass you early on. Letting people run 40-minute loops. Letting people run the hills in the beginning. Unless you want to say, hey, I understand that this is your first backyard ultra. I would recommend walking the hills so that you can go further. Like, talk to them, help them figure out the backyard if they've never done one before. They don't really know what they're doing. I think that's a really, really valuable aspect to the backyard ultra and to helping other people so that everyone can go further. Everyone can push their limits. Letting the race feel easy. Letting the adrenaline exist without reacting to it. One of my favorite pieces of advice that I have heard in ultra running is, if you feel that you're at an RPE of 3, you're probably actually at a 4. Or if you feel like you're at a 2, you're probably at a 3. You're always likely perceived to be one lower than you're actually at. So back off, slow down even more. If you feel like you're at a 3, slow down. If you feel like you're at a 5, slow down. If you feel like you're at a 2, slow down. Backyards are lost in the first 10 yards. It's tricky, but it's because people don't trust patience. We talk about this all in episode 24. Episode 24 is all about the biggest mistakes people make in the first 10 yards. They think, this feels too easy. I should be doing more. I can run faster. I'm doing fine. I don't need to fuel right now. I don't want to fall behind. I feel fresh. I can run faster with these people. What do you feel behind in? There is no defined finish line. There is no winner of the fastest loop. There's no saying that you have to come in with 10 minutes left on the clock or you're done. You don't win in the first half. You survive in the second. Patience feels passive, and it feels like you're not trying hard enough. But patience is discipline, and discipline wins. I want you to feel like you're not trying hard enough, because that means that you're preparing for the second half. It should feel super, 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 super easy. Number 6. Backyard ultras will expose your ego. You cannot race emotionally at 2 a.m. You cannot make decisions based on pride. You cannot chase someone because you're afraid of what it means if they drop you. Who cares if they pass you? Protecting your race is more important than protecting your ego. Who cares if they're consistently running 45-minute loops and you're running 50-minute loops. Your ego cares, but your race does not. Protect your race. Sometimes that means letting someone run the hills, letting someone run ahead of you, letting someone talk, letting someone look stronger than you. Ego says, prove something. Experience says, stay in your lane. The runners who go long are rarely the loudest early on. Do not be the runner that gets noticed in the first 10 yards because you look super strong. You're running very strong laps and you're coming in with 20 minutes left. Don't be recognizable in that sense. Sit back in the background. Let other people do the work. Let other people get recognized. You are preparing for 24. Do not be the loudest one early on. Number 7 is buying into the process. And this one matters before race day, right? If you hate the boring training, if you resent the strength work, if you're constantly feeling like you're waiting for race day to feel alive, if you think that I just need to run really high mileage and I want to do all this speed work, I just want it to feel exciting and I don't want to be bored, the backyard is going to feel miserable because the backyard is just extending process, the monotony. Race day feels familiar instead of intimidating. You've practiced monotony. You've practiced fueling. You've practiced walking. You've practiced restraint. Nothing feels dramatic, and that's the goal. Backyards do not reward excitement. They reward commitment. They reward the runner who does not need to prove anything. They reward the runner who does not panic when it's boring. The runner who doesn't skip the small work. The runner who does not skip the strength training. The runner who does not get seduced by adrenaline or ego. They reward the runner who says, okay, one more loop. This is one loop. Reset. Do it again without needing it to be heroic. So if these skills don't sound exciting, that's a good thing. It means you're ready. Delete that. That means you're starting to understand the format. If this episode resonated with you, send it to a friend who's ultra curious, who's curious about the backyard ultra, who's curious about pacing, who's curious about the monotony of the backyard ultra and what goes into it. Maybe a runner who is trying to make it too flashy or who's starting out way too fast and is blowing up in the first 8 yards, 10 yards. And if training feels boring right now, that might be exactly what you need it to be right now. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next loop. Thanks for tuning in to One More Hour. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow so you don't miss the next yard, and share it with a runner who loves pushing their limits. I'd love to hear your own stories of going one more. Connect with me on Instagram at the One More Hour Podcast. And if you could leave a quick review, it'll help more runners find the show and keep going when they want to stop. Until next time, just go one more hour.